Hello everyone, welcome to another video in my channel. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to add a custom domain and a managed certificate to the Azure front door. In the previous video, I showed you how to configure Azure front door from a configuration or setup side of things to load balance geographically distributed application. And in this video, adding a certificate, or we are going to take it to the next level, adding a certificate and also adding a managed certificate into that. So I'll put a link to my previous video at the description of the video. If you haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch that if in terms of covering the basic setup of the Azure front door. Let's go ahead and add the Azure, the custom domain for this Azure front door. So the custom domain needs to be added to the front-end hosts in here. So we click the plus button here, and then we can add a custom domain. So the custom domain that I'm planning to add is ar or ar.contourau.org. So this is a domain that I own, and in terms of adding this domain, I need to first add a proof record or a CNAME record that's pointing to this address. So there are two ways that I can prove my domain ownership to this. Otherwise, you cannot. If you don't own the domain, you cannot add any records to this. So there are two ways that you can do that. In the documentation, they say you can add AFD verify record for this domain record to verify that you own the ownership. So that has to be done if you're actually trying to cut over a production application. So because you cannot add this record if it's already pointing to a production website, you cannot add this or change this record to point to the Azure front door, right? So you can add this and do a side-by-side configuration. And all what you need to do is you need to add the AFD verify record rather than the actual record to verify the domain. So I'm not going to be adding that AFD verified domain in this case because I have an application which is not active at the moment. So I'm going to be adding this DNS record, and then I'm pointing to this. So for that, I need to log into my DNS hosting provider and then manage the DNS, add the record, and then I'll have to come back. So I'll show you how it can be done in my DNS hosting provider. So here I have logged into my DNS provider, and these are the records that I have currently. And what I want to add is ar.contourau.org, and what I need to point is I need a CNAME record, and I need to point to this address here. So let's go ahead and change this to CNAME, and the domain address is this. So let's add that record, and it will take a few. I assume it's gonna take a few minutes, but effectively to replicate it across the globe, it's gonna take more than that. But we'll give it a few minutes, and then we'll see how it goes. So that's done, and then so we'll have to wait for a few minutes and then make sure that this picks it up. So let's come back and revisit this again in a few minutes, and then see how it goes. So let's try again to see if I'm lucky. Yes, I am lucky at this time. So the domain has been verified now, so it allows me to add the custom domain. Let's go ahead and add the custom domain. Yep. And so let's click save. And that should be it. So after that's configured, then we should be able to access our web application using the public domain name. Let's give it a minute. All right, so it's updated now. So let's close these tabs and open up a new tab. ar.contourau.org. It's not available yet. Let's give it a few tries. So the reason why it wasn't working before is the host contour is not present in any of the routing rules, which is a very basic error that I couldn't actually have a look at it. So let's go and add. So what happens is currently there's nothing listening on that address. So its address is routed to the Azure front door, but there's no configuration in the front door to listen to this address. So we have the backend pool, that's cool, but on the routing rules, we need to configure to listen to that address as well on the routing rule, or otherwise we need to add another route rule. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to add that domain to that existing routing rule and then click save. So once that's configured, we should be all good and see traffic routing to that or traffic listening to that address. So let's try again. As you can see, it's now working. So currently, like now the DNS is replicated, the front door configuration is replicated. Now it's configured to listen on ar.contour.org, and it's now giving me the site. So it's still giving me the West US instance because that's the closest one for where I'm coming from, which is Australia. And in terms of access, I'm currently accessing only HTTPS. So if I go HTTPS, it will give me a certificate error. It still gives me the access, but it just goes that certificate error because I don't have any publicly issued certificates on this. So you can actually get with Azure Front Door, you can get a managed certificate, which is actually a public certificate that's issued to this address. So it's coming at no extra cost. It's just enabling and then adding that managed certificate to that. So Azure Front Door manages the certificate renewals and everything as far as you are paying for the Azure Front Door, then it continues to work as is. So what you need to do is go custom domain HTTPS, and then go enabled, and then go to the certificate type as the Azure Front Door managed. So if you go click update, that takes like a few minutes for it to apply. So because it goes through a certificate generation process and everything. So it takes a bit of time for it to apply, but what it does is they have a backend affiliation with the DigiCert to generate a public certificate for this address. And then they apply that on the Azure Front Door. And then when we access that front door certificate is presented, and we get HTTPS access to the front door, and then you can do SSL offloadings after that. So that's once until that's getting applied, we'll give it a few minutes, and then once it's working, I'll come back. Okay, now the managed certificate configuration has been saved. Let's go and access this site in HTTPS rather than HTTP. So as you can see, I can access via HTTPS, and I can see a valid certificate in the browser now. So let's look at the certificate details, and you can see it's issued on this date, and it's issued to ar.contour.org, and the certificate path is issued by the DigiCert, root CA, and there's a subordinate CA, and this certificate as well. So it's renewing every year. And that's all managed as part of this Azure Front Door service. So in this video, you saw how to add a custom domain and how to get a managed certificate issued by the service as well. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video with a different configuration details on the Azure Front Door.